Hi Nick, so tell us a bit about what you do at the club and what your role is.
Okay, well, I'm head of science here, but I guess my background is predominantly nutrition. So I joined this club as a nutritionist, and I guess the job is to try and promote performance via health and well-being using nutrition. So we're big believers that by driving health upwards, we can indirectly promote performance. And that's very, very important when you're dealing with teams that play so regularly and train in the manner that we do, that you're protecting your players from coughs and colds and illnesses, and maximising adaptation to every training session. And that clearly means nutrition is a very important part of what we do.
Cool. So what kind of stuff are you getting these guys to eat? What would tell us about the life of a day in the life of a Chelsea player, whether it's an academy player or a first team player?
Typically, players will train for an hour and a half, and that might be a very light session, but it also might be a more demanding session, and the nutrition will change accordingly. But our philosophy surrounding nutrition is quite simple, because I think it has to be delivered in a simple way, so people can immediately understand what's required and follow those strategies or interventions. So, for example, one of the things that we encourage the players to do on any occasion that they eat is to make sure that they have an equal contribution from three, what we would call food groups, and to market those to the players so that they are a little bit more performance orientated. We will talk about fruits and vegetables as protection foods, we'll talk about proteins as repair foods, and we'll talk about carbohydrates as energy foods. Within all three groups, we have a big emphasis on the quality of those foods. So within the group of fruits and vegetables or protection foods, we talk about seasonality, we talk about locally sourced produce. So our vegetables and our fruits, for the most part, are delivered to the player's plate 24 hours after they are picked from the ground. So the farm that we use is about 10 miles down the road, and also from a quality point of view doesn't use the usual fertilisation procedures that are commonplace in agriculture at the moment.
If you can explain and clarify the benefits of eating local food rather than sort of food that's out of season or from other countries.
Sure, well, for us it's about driving every possible nutrient that we can into the player when they sit down to eat. And if we are eating food that's been pulled out of the ground only 24 hours ago, the level of nutrients in that product will be higher than if they are flown from other parts of the world, and that's very, very important to us. And there is some evidence now that organic, locally produced fruits and vegetables do supply more nutrients. Within the group of carbohydrates, again, we look at quality of carbohydrates. So a very simple way of describing quality would be brown carbohydrates rather than white carbohydrates. Yes, we go into a little bit more detail than that, but I would imagine we're the only club, for example, to be using quinoa on a regular basis as a grain, and that's again testament to the chefs here are able to turn a product like that into something very palatable that the players enjoy eating.
In terms of the breakdown of proteins, carbohydrates, and fats, how would you? What's the best ratio of those?
Yeah, again, very simply for us, we tell the players to divide the plate into three and have equal contribution from all three. Breakfast and snacks must also follow that particular protocol. For example, we would encourage players to eat animal protein at breakfast, and we work very, very hard to make sure that those interesting choices are available. We want to stimulate the guys from a food point of view as much as a training point of view. And that's very, very important when they're training 300 times a year here.
And Nick's actually he plays frisbee on a national and international level, and he's got a lot of mates that'll be watching this video who are very, very keen sportsmen. They won't do it every day for a living, but they'll be training 2-3 times a week.
Ultimate frisbee it's a very difficult game to play, because you tend to play games in tournaments, so you have like 3 to 4 games back to back, because the people that play ultimate kind of live geographically quite far away from each other. What kind of advice would you give to a player like me?
I guess you're talking about recovery, and that's also a major focus for us. We do play 3 games in a week, and a 90-minute game is extremely demanding, and does require a certain amount of recovery, which is why, from a training point of view, intensity isn't repeated after a game until at least 48 hours after a game. So recovery is important to us as it is to you guys. I think the way that we set ourselves up is that we have 2 phases. We have a training phase where you would hope that your individuals are looking after themselves from a nutritional point of view, and that 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 philosophy is particularly useful. And then you go into a competition phase like you guys are, and to an equal extent we are, but slightly different. And then you focus on preparation and recovery. And it's no secret, I guess, that we tend to focus more on carbohydrate during both the preparation and the recovery phase. Although I do think some of the other nutrients, like protein and fats, aren't always considered in that. There is a large amount of evidence now that protein consumed together with carbohydrate is extremely important from a recovery point of view, and therefore seeking out foods that supply those nutrients together is very important in the interim period between competitions like us, like it is for you. We do that very simply with drinks, but we can also do that with supplementary snacks, and also a protocol for recovery after a game. You guys, being slightly different, requiring recovery quite quickly after a match, I guess would focus on such things as drinks and snacks. And we would have similar circumstances when we're training twice a day, for example. What I would suggest is that those products are predominantly carbohydrate, contain a certain amount of protein, and in some cases may require some fat, because it's clear that fat stores within the muscle are depleted to a certain extent during intense or high volume work. And I guess we do that with drinks, recovery drinks, which contain carbohydrate and protein, but we also do that with snacks, hence I guess leading into the product that we decided to try and use with you guys. I think as well, when it comes to recovery between games for you guys, you've got to have something that's practical, and I would also argue that we use real foods as part of our recovery protocols when we've just played a game. So on the team bus, we will have we'll have pizzas and pasta meals and fruits and so on. But I guess for you guys, it's got to be something you can carry around with you. So we've always said to players that although a recovery drink is very convenient and we can make it up for the guys or they can make it up for themselves, a sandwich with a protein source might also be potentially useful, because you've got the carbohydrate within the bread, you've got protein within the sandwich filling if it's meat based. And I think from a practical point of view, there are a number of things that you can do. Obviously find something that you enjoy eating, but there's a number of foods on the market that you can choose from a snack point of view, and we just try and choose those that are of the highest quality, I think, because we're still keen on driving nutrients into players.